Chapter 25. The Life-Giver's blinding light reflects off the vortex of sand tossed up upon their arrival to the surface. It is not much different than entering the sea haven, just free-falling upward. Once everything settles and his eyes stop watering, Rosner tries to take in his surroundings, but there is only one thing. Sand. All around as far as he can see. Sand. Not even the spine is in sight. Not even... What are those? Rosner demands. Laying before him is a pair of very large-looking worms, with chitin plates interlocking the length of their body. Worms over twice the size of a normal human. They are called Kitreis, Kisra informs him happily, and they are lovely creatures. You always have them in pairs, Yuan chimes in. They never leave each other's side. And they are going to get us to La Serene? Rosner asks. Kisra pats one of the creatures. You bet! She then proceeds to climb in the sled behind the Kitreis. The rest follow without argument, so Rosner figures he should do the same. Once they are all in the vehicle, each member pulls a cloth over their face so only their eyes peek through. Cyan says something, but Rosner cannot understand her muffled voice. Then Kisra shouts something and the sled lurches out from underneath Rosner's feet. The back wall keeps him in the sled, but his head spins. Cyan drops to her knees beside him and lowers her cover. Are you alright? She asks. He nods. I told you to cover up and hang on, she says. She digs into her pocket and pulls out a piece of cloth. Here, use this. Rosner takes it and goes to thank her, but she turns around. The first day starts and ends with sand. How Kisra knows where she is at, Rosner has no clue. They have seen no one on their travels and no landmarks to give him any sense of where they are. All he knows is that they are making their way west-northwest. So, when Rosner sees a black-winged horse staring at the group from the next rise before them, after nearly a cycle of travel, he thinks he is hallucinating. The Life-Giver hovers low behind the creature. Its form shifts slightly. Kanyu and Kisra are in the middle of a conversation about their exact location under the canopy they propped up over the sled. Huon stands outside, welcoming the Life-Giver's radiance on his skin. And Cyan is inside, once more inventorying their food supply. They had been running low, and she was worried that they would not make it to the next village. When the swordswoman first brought it up, Kisra assured everyone that they should approach a village within the next few days. Her estimation passed yesterday, which is why she and the dwarf debate. Rosner himself stands under the entrance flap, looking at this horse. Just when he dismisses it as a figment of his imagination, he spots a silhouette crawl out of the ground, walk over to it, and mount the horse. A second later, the beast takes flight on large, midnight wings before phasing from existence. Rosner stares at the spot the two disappeared from until his eyes cannot be strained any longer. He turns away, wiping the water from his eyes. A gentle hand rests on Rosner's shoulder. Are you okay? Cyan asks. He had not seen her emerge from the makeshift tent. He nods. Just the sand, I think. He lies. Can he tell everyone what he just saw? Will they call him crazy? She nods and walks away to grab Huon. No, he cannot tell them. He will have to figure it out for himself. Whatever it is, it does not bode well. As she talks with the orc, Rosner glances at the sky. They are a quarter cycle away from a black night. 2 days later, they reach the village. The river of Maris roars on the other side, its waves lapping periodically at the buildings nearest the shore. The thin line of trees follows the length of the river in small clusters, something Rosner never noticed aboard the ram. While Kanyu searches for a ferryman, Cyan and Huan search for supplies, leaving Rosner and Kisra to themselves. Unsure of what to do, they wander in awkward silence. Rosner does not know why it is uncomfortable, but it is. It does not take long to acquaint themselves with the village. After baking in the Life-Giver's radiance for 20 minutes, they saw all there is to see. The locals watch them, but with little interest. They know their group is here for the ferry. With nothing more to do, the two, at Kishra's suggestion, walk to the edge of the river and find solid ground beneath a tree with wide spanning leaves to sit under. He watches her dip her feet in the water and keep them submerged, despite an initial shiver. Part of him wants to wrap himself around her and warm her, but it is hot enough. Even in the shade, beads of sweat form over their skin. Eventually, the rest find him and Kishra, and though none say anything, Huan and Kanyu each have a curious look about them. It seems Cyan stayed with their cart. Kisra, who gazes across the water, does not see them approach. Rosner, on the other hand, ignores the silent questions. "Looks like you took us too far south, Kisra," Kanyu announces. She turns startled. After a quick recovery, she asks, "What do you mean?" "They have no ferry at this village, just a bridge." Not long into their walk, Rosner did notice the bridge the dwarf talks about. From a small distance, the wooden structure looked sturdy enough, but why give it any thought when you were going to use a ferry? Kyushu turns red with embarrassment. "I'm not an expert in navigation, but I am better than a novice," she defends weakly. They meet back with Cyan and make a course for the bridge at the forefront of the village. After Kanyu throws the halfling manning the gate some coin, they cross. It is wide enough for a cart to pass in either direction. Once the group is on the other side, they pick up speed once more as the Kitrais dive back below the surface. Another cycle passes with the eyes nearing the next quarter before the capital of the Sea of Sand appears on the horizon. They have been down to half rations for the past half cycle, so the sight of any sort of civilization is a blessing to Rosner. Yet for the others, it seemed like another day. He does not understand how they have done so well with travel. Even Kishra seems ill-affected from the journey. Huan informs the group it is best to meet the guards at the gate early in the morning. Once they have been standing beneath the Life-Giver for so long, they tend to grow irritable. So they make camp with the Life-Giver still hours away from a kiss. Rosner has been weary since he saw the horse, but has not reappeared. With that to consider, Rosner convinces himself it was indeed a play of his mind and decides to dismiss it entirely. He is exhausted. He is not used to this heat. His skin burns within minutes of being exposed. He wants cooler weather. The group works to set up the canvas. Afterwards, Huan calls them to a meeting. "There are a few things you need to know about the city," the orc relays. "1. They care not for outsiders, so do not give them a reason to imprison you. 2. There is an old magic here. Several locations within the city are off limits, even to the residents. Go there, and I guarantee we will not see you again. Finally, most of the residents here believe the phoenix is a god. Disagree with that, and you may be killed. Any questions?" Rosner immediately feels as if the entire speech is directed at him alone. The other three nod along, but with the disinterest of someone who has heard this before. "So, how do we meet the phoenix?" Rosner asks. "You have to get his approval," Kishra answers. "By the Ishraki order. Afterwards you are put on a waiting list. No one knows how long you will be on it, and they do not tell you, but only then is one allowed to meet with him. Rosner knows he is going to regret this next question. How long do people tend to wait? He asks. Yuan seems to think for a moment before replying. Usually a cycle, he says. Rosner's hope of going in and coming out evaporate. Then whatever hope still lingers dies with Cyan's next words. I heard many generations ago someone waited the entirety of Maris's reign to talk about the one before. Kanyu shakes his head. Let's just be a told tale, he tells her. Even so, Kishra says, how can we avoid waiting so long? Huon leans back. We just need to have a convincing argument and a reasonable request. The rest of the group starts to discuss tactics, but Rosner zones out. He tries to pay attention, but his mind continues to drift. What is the hope of accomplishing this? On top of waiting so long, he will never be able to help his brother. Poultry better be doing what he can, or so help him. And what of Asra? Is she okay? Will he see her again? Before Rosner knows it, he's asleep. When he wakes up, everything is dark, but not like a black night. It is more of an all-consuming darkness. Rosner cannot see his hand right in front of his face. Why are his movements so sluggish? He starts to walk, hoping to find a clue to where he is. Rosner has no grasp on how long he does so, but eventually he finds a stone path that pushes the darkness away with a faint glow. A few steps ahead of him is a little girl. She waves to him as he approaches, a single, solitary motion, her long auburn hair tucked behind her shoulders. I must say, she says in an accent he has never heard before, I did not expect to see you again this soon. Rosner cocks his head. I do not believe us to have previously met. The girl presses her thumb to her lips in thought. Then she points lazily at Rosner. Last we met was very short, she says. I do not blame you for forgetting. And when was this? Rosner inquires. She tosses her hand to the side and answers, right after that so-called tiger killed you. Rosner cannot figure out if it is the statement or the tone that throws him off more. She just says it so nonchalantly. Before he can fully process what she said, the girl continues. One of my Pegasi told me that they saw you in the Sea of Sand. Are you going to visit my grandson? Rosner rubs his face with his hand. What? The girl says, turning around. You are right. He really is not my grandson. I have no family. Rosner waves his hand across his body. Stop, he tells her. Just stop. She looks at him, confused, but does not say a word. He sighs, then says, Who are you, and where am I? Oh, she says, I thought you knew. You are on the path to judgment. Rosner presses a finger against his temple. Goddess of mysteries, what are you talking about? The girl frowns. I am not Mirain. You really are on the path to judgment. Scorpion venom killed you while you were asleep. I am dead? The girl tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. Well, not for long. You will heal soon enough. You can thank your brother for that. Or not. It all depends on how you want to view it. Rosner stares at her, wanting to make sure he hears what he hears. Did you just mention my brother? She nods. Yep. I suppose he wanted me to warn you about who you call the Phoenix. but I am sure you are well aware of his antics. What do you... Things waver, then settle. The girl smiles. Looks like you are waking up. We'll meet again soon, she tells him, waving. Then she disappears. The path fades, and he is cast into darkness once more. Something strikes Rosner in the side. Get up, Cyan says a moment later. We are waiting on you. Rosner jets up, barely managing to recall his dream, as its remnants drift from his mind. The world seems to run around him, but he does not pay it any attention. The Kitrais burrow into the sand and they are off once again, but Rosner hardly notices. Was he talking to a little girl? In complete darkness? What did she say? That he was stung by a subtle stinging sensation announces itself around Rosner's ankle. He looks and finds a portion of it raised and bruised, with a puncture at its center. A scorpion. Lost in his thoughts about what this could mean, Rosner only realizes they arrive at the city when a large shadow envelops them. The capital of the Sea of Sand. La Serene. They merge with a small stream of merchants and travelers. The large white walls dominate them. The sides taper to the top from the ground. Several dozen feet into the wall itself is the entrance to the city, made of thick oak doors with steel reinforcement. The soldiers at the gate wear leather breastplates, gauntlets, and half-guards with red skirts. Along both sides of the skirt are a golden embroidery of a phoenix with its wings wide, the embodiment of fire and life itself. Each one bears a spear, and one stops the group. What business you have here? The guard requests. Huon is prepared to answer. We have traveled in hopes to speak with the phoenix. The man shakes his head. You should turn back. He is not like to see anyone of current. Huon nods, then replies, We shall wait. The guard eyes Huon, then the group one by one. When he returns to Huon, the orc says, We have accommodations. The guard nods, then turns a step back so they can pass. The Kitrais, now on the surface, take them into the city. The section of the city they enter is filled with modest structures. Nothing extraordinary, but nothing in shambles, likely housing units. They pass several wells with women and children gathering around. Most of those Rosner sees seem content with their lives. Some, however, are a little less fortunate. An occasional guard appears amongst the crowd. As the group journeys further into the city, the buildings spread out and their aesthetics improve. Interestingly, they also start to see figures in various colored robes and complementary tassels around their waists. Most of them have their hoods up. Those that do not seem to be revered by the people. But hood or no hood, there are not very many of them. Kanyu leans over, apparently catching Rosner's eyes, and says, They are the members of the Israki Order. Low-ranking, but dangerous nonetheless. Those that run it are hardly seen outside the palace and the residencies. Huon finds a stable for the Kitrais. They then make their way to a tavern and inn called the Sea Flower. Inside, Kishra talks privately to the bartender and slides something to him. He nods before walking off. Kishra turns to the group and nods towards the stairs behind her. They file upstairs and into one of the back rooms. The room is much bigger than Rosner expects. There are 2 beds with a divider opposite the door. Chests rest at the foot of both. The table off to the left looks like it has a city map on it. Against the wall behind it is a bookshelf, filled. To the right of the door is a window overlooking the city, and a seemingly particular building in the distance. He walks over and takes in the scenery. Canyu follows. For a moment, he says nothing. Then, you see that building in the distance? That is the palace. That is where we can speak to the Phoenix if our request is approved. Rosner nods. What about the Order? Not far from here, Canyu says. We visit them on the morrow. Right now, we eat.